Delighted to introduce our next enterprise story. We have Bart Fussell and Sam Warners. Bart is the co-founder and Sam is the head of innovation at AFROGLEAP, a Merkle company. And they'll be talking about skipping the AI hype and starting using ML as an everyday ingredient. Welcome.
Thank you. No audio yet. OK, here we go. Hi, nice to meet you. Before we start, I just want to ask you guys, so who here feels like he's very deep into AI? Please, let me see your hands. OK, very few hands. These guys you need to hire. Who here feels like he's new to it and he kind of wants to get started? OK, that's the majority of the group. So I'm kind of catering to the last group here today because we hit this a lot in the world when we talk to people. Before I get started, my name is Bart.
Hi, I'm Sam.
And we're working at Merkle. And Merkle is a very big worldwide kind of global agency where we do a lot with data marketing. And, but we have a lot of people in many countries. So in Europe, we have around 1,500 people working for Merkle. And if we have to explain what we do, we usually say we work on the kind of intersection of data, creativity, and technology. And we try to create value for our clients there. So this is very important for us. We win a lot of awards, and I think you might know some of these brands here in the Netherlands, some of the agencies that are working here. And we work for a lot of companies, so in many different kind of sectors of industries. So enough about Merkle. What we want to talk to you today about is the hype that's going on around AI. We kind of feel there's a big hype, and we feel that people are having difficulties getting started with machine learning and seeing it as a tool or an ingredient that they can have. My question to you would be, can I see some hands for the people who feel, who's on the data science engineering side here? Data science, OK, that's a good 30%. Who's on the business, marketing, whatever side? Let's just say, OK, that's a little bit more than the other half. And last one, who's an academic? That's a few hands as well. OK, well, it's good to know because I think for everybody there's kind of something going on. And I want to give you a little bit of perspective on where we see this kind of hype going. And first of all, everybody probably knows the hype cycle. Who here thinks the hype cycle is at its peak right now? Who believes it's already down there at the bottom? Because we're a firm believer that the hype is kind of over and everybody's a bit like, you know, there's not a lot of stuff changed here, right? We're not very happy. And I think this is important to realize that we've been hyping AI so long that we're kind of making it too big. And we want to go back to just getting to use it and making it an ingredient or tool in your toolbox. So we usually look at technology in the form of an S-curve, and you have adoption versus time, and the more time spent, the more it's adopted. This works for many things. A really big one that just has passed kind of the last 10, 15 years is mobile, which was a very big technology that changed a lot of stuff. And we're kind of at the end of this curve where it's becoming a commodity. But before mobile, you had something like the internet for 15, 20 years, which was also a very big kind of big changing technology that changed a lot of things. And if you look now at the times they're changing, and we don't really believe that AI is just here. It's not a revolution, it's more of an evolution. And this is in the making for many years, at least 10 years, and you kind of see it happening right now. But it just starts, and it's not really that big and powerful yet. And the next thing that we see as an S-curve is definitely something around intelligence, and AI is maybe a way too overhyped name, so we also call it machine learning a lot because it just makes more sense, right? Taking that into account, we see phases. So you have the Genesis phase, which has been going on for ages around AI, and for machine learning in specific, more recently. You kind of go into a custom build phase where lots of solutions are built by companies, but not everybody can use it here. So if you're working for a company, your own company probably doesn't have their custom built AI or machine learning solutions yet. And then you eventually go to a phase where all the big companies make products out of it, which you see happening right now with Amazon, Facebook, Google, those kind of companies. But I bet the majority here doesn't work at that company, but you do want to get started. And then the last one is where it becomes a commodity, and everybody has it, and there's not really a competitive advantage for your company to get started with this. So we're now in between this phase where it's kind of custom built stuff that's made, and maybe some small products are there. And I think it's really good to realize we're there. And the big question is, do you want to get started with it right now before it becomes this commodity or productized, or do you want to wait until it's there? And we kind of want you to get started, and Sam's going to talk a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Bart. So, yeah, great. Great theory, but let's see how this works in practice, because theory is nice, but I'd like to see this in real. First of all, you don't need a PhD to start with machine learning. I studied communication science. I know how to do it. And it's easy because there's more and more tools online available, or affordable hardware you can use. So let me give you a few examples of what we see. Everybody knows NVIDIA, right? They are probably the largest manufacturer of chipsets who are driving this revolution. So you can just buy this card and do your own model calculations on it. For example, self-driving cars. We won't see any autonomous vehicles on the road anytime soon, fully autonomous, because there's lots of issues with that. But there are some people having hobbies, and they have some money to spend, and they make their own racing cars for racing tracks, which is perfectly fine. If you don't know, this is Robo Race. They just announced their new vehicle. It's awesome to watch. It's like drone races, but then with autonomous vehicles. And they are powered partly by NVIDIA. It wasn't possible a few years ago. If that's too expensive, just go and buy this deep lens camera from Amazon. It's only $250, I think. You can pre-order it, only in the US at the moment, but why not go there and just buy it? It comes preloaded with models to do your own calculations. $250 is easy to get started, right? Still too difficult? There's loads of companies who offer their platform for you to start with. So you don't need to set up yourself anything. It's just like easy to get started there. Or if you are really, really scared to get started with that, just go on GitHub and search for some models. I mean, you can set it up within the next 5 or 10 minutes, and they come with tutorials how to get started there. So it's not an issue to get started. There's lots of stuff available for you, but maybe you find it hard to think of how to apply it. I have 3 levels of application for machine learning for you. And this might help you think about how to get started here. First of all, you could look at the stuff you do usually by improving existing features of your product. A good example here is Google Forms. At Google Forms, you had to select the question type you'd like to ask, and then build your form in that way. But Google said, well, let's see what we have here. We have the data from the input form. Maybe we can run a model on it, and maybe we can predict what type of question a person is trying to ask. And so it happened. Now it guesses the type of question you're going to ask. The user doesn't really notice, but the product is way better. This is entry-level stuff. If you think I'm beyond that, great. Let's see if you can go for number 2. Enable entirely new features. I guess everybody knows Pinterest, right? The online scrapbook. People use a search through keywords, which is quite inefficient. This particular example is for searching for a white chair. I'm not much of a design fan, not enough to understand the name and the brand for this chair. But if I would search through a picture is worth 1,000 words, that would work fine, right? So they implemented it, and it's way easier to find products within certain categories. Number 3, this is our dream. Machine learning might enable entirely new products. Autonomous vehicles. Ford is experimenting together with Domino Pizzas to have this autonomous vehicle delivering pizza, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, like, why would you use a full-blown car for delivering pizzas? But it looks awesome. I'm pretty sure you've seen the viral last week on LinkedIn. It's just a car that delivers a pizza and there's nobody inside. But machine learning is not the solution to every problem. It's not a silver bullet. There's another part of the equation. How do you deal with this change as a big company? The secret is, it's inside your people. You have the market, you have all the tools, but if you don't know how to use them, that doesn't work. I'd like to see a raise of hands. Who has a schedule, a daily schedule, if they look at the calendar, which is divided in blocks of an hour? That's not too many people. Screen still? Yeah. Other type of people usually have blocks which are, if possible, a full day or a half day. Raise of hands for those? I guess the first part, if you raised your hand in the first part, you must be a manager. And the second part, you must be a maker. Any startups here? I know there's lots of rockstar people here. Nobody? Ah, awesome. You know Paul Graham, right? He wrote this influential blog post about the maker schedule and the manager schedule. I think that's not enough. Managers are there to coordinate, and makers are there to create output. You need another type of person in your organization. I used to live with the maker schedule, or at least I tried to, and a bit of a manager schedule as well, until as an agency we found out we needed to adopt. We need to be ready for an exchange. And therefore, I think it's good to introduce the learner schedule. It's a type of person within your organization that's going for insight. You give room for this person to spend time reading up stuff, talking to people, experiment, and share those learnings inside, and to help your organization move to the next step. This all comes down to a simple equation, rounding up for you guys. I think you can say that the math looks like this. You have the market, which is the S-curve Bart talked about, the maturity of your organization, finding the right tools, understanding how to use them, and the culture, getting people within your organization to start thinking about doing things in new ways. You don't have a lot of influence over the market, but you do have a lot of influence over your maturity as a company and the culture. So this is all very nice, but I think it's good to introduce Warwick, who is part of our group as well. Hi, Warwick. And he's going to show actually the stuff that we're doing.
First, which is the button?
This one.
That one, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thanks very much, Sam, for the introduction. It's Warwick Burris-Jones, the founder of Merkle Aquila. Merkle Aquila, we specialize in using advanced analytics and agile technology to solve our clients' problems. And increasingly, we are starting to use machine learning and AI techniques to solve some of those problems. But it's fair to say most of our clients don't come to us saying, can we use ML and AI to solve my problem? Although I have had one client ask me to do some AI on that, which is an interesting question. They'll remain nameless. But what we do increasingly see is the use of machine learning and AI. And what I want to talk you through is just a few examples of where we've been doing that, just to prove that we don't just talk about it, we actually do it. I guess one thing I'll mention before I go into them, I'm going to kind of keep the clients quiet because there's a reason why I'm sensitive about some of the work we do. So I'll just talk about the kind of general things that we're doing. So the first example I want to talk about is in a global eye care company. Over the course of the last 10 years, they've captured hundreds of thousands of retinal scans, which they've kept on file but not really done anything with. They approached us to see if we could use advanced analytics to start to identify specific diseases in the back of the eye and other potential medical conditions. We worked with a subset of the data that they had and were able to develop a bunch of machine learning models which one were able to identify diseases or specific diseases pretty much as effectively as an expert, but also as they received more information, were able to train themselves to become more and more accurate. And we went on with that particular client to then look at other attributes like geography, age, so on and so forth, along with kind of disease over time, to really start to look at the potential trends and how environmental factors are factoring into disease in humans and within the eye specifically over time. So that's kind of one example where we've been applying kind of machine learning techniques. This is another one from the gas and oil industry. A client approached us to look to see if they could start to use effectively robots on oil and gas platforms to identify particular safety hazards and so on and so forth, and take humans out of the equation, especially in bad weather. So we worked, along with this chap here, say hello, this is Gunther, to start to see what we could do in terms of using AI, and machine learning, and robotics, and visual recognition to identify specific things within a platform. We started off very simply. We had to build a data platform that could hold the streamed visual images and allow us to then process and then do the AI on it. We started with a simple ability to be able to actually identify a single dial within a platform, and then for the models to be able to retrain themselves as they saw more information and more dials and get more and more accurate doing this. We've now got to the stage over a number of months where not only can we identify a dial, we can go as far as to identify a human wandering around the platform not wearing a safety helmet. And we're starting to look at how we deploy this on gas platforms. The last one I'm going to talk about, that doesn't give it away too much, does it? The last one I'm going to talk about, because we are a big-ass marketing agency after all, is in the world of marketing. And the specific I want to talk about is a project we're doing with a car manufacturer where we're looking to improve consumer or customer experience. And in this particular example, we're taking all of the customer interactions, whether it be digital, dealership, call center. We're capturing those, we're time-stamping them, and then we're using ML and AI techniques to start to understand, one, the context of those different interactions, and then ultimately make decisions about what we do next off the back of that interaction, whether it's to engage with the consumer in one way or another, whether not to, and so on and so forth. And we're seeing massive benefits in applying these techniques in this space. It is fair to say that you do still need to have a human eye looking over this stuff as you train the models and you learn how to do this. And I think probably that leads me to my last point before I kind of hand over. You may have noticed as I've gone through these 3 examples that in every example, we start pretty simple, and we iterate as we get confidence and improve the solution. And I would say for any people kind of dabbling in this space and looking how they can use it in large organizations, start simple, build confidence, build trust, and then increase complexity as you get more and more confident. And I think in doing that, I guess 2 things. One, you build a solution that actually delivers against the initial requirements. And also, you kind of build a level of trust within the organization in using what to a lot of people looks like black box. And that's very, very important. I think on that note, I'm going to hand back over to Bart, I think. Carry on. Thank you.
Cool. So what we are trying to show you is that it's not that difficult to get started if your organization is not yet that mature. And we would love to help you with exploring what you can do. And we try to kind of show you that it's not only talking that we do, but also building stuff. And I think one of the main important things that we want to share with you is that don't get started with a big project with a lot of money. Get started with short iterations, short phases. See whoever you have in your data team or insights team. If you have data scientists, try to train them, because nobody here knows. Like, there are only very few people who are really hardcore experienced in this. And then you can get help from an agency like us to get started.